Okay, I hope. Um, okay, let's go. A couple of things before we start. The definition of a hormone. These are the main glands of our body. The definition of a hormone is an organic molecule that that affects another gland or another tissue. A hormone is an organic molecule that has an effect on another gland or other tissues of the body, another gland or other tissues of the body. And then we have two types of glands. We have exocrine gland and endocrine gland. Exocrine gland secretes their hormones, their products, what have you, into duct. They have a duct. You do have a slide of it. Exocrine assadi, right? Pancreas is both exocrine gland and endocrine gland. The endocrine gland portion of pancreas is the islets of Langerhans, and the exocrine glands are those background in the back, which is the exocrine. They release it to a duct their product. Okay, the science of studying glands and hormones both together, glands and hormones together, is endocrinology. And then, of course, you have hypothalamus, which controls pituitary gland, and pituitary gland has released, as you talked about it last time, has a lot of effect on other parts of the body, on other glands, and so on and so forth. So some textbook called hypothalamus, since it controls pituitary gland, master gland. And some textbooks say, no, pituitary gland is the master gland. It doesn't matter, don't worry about it. And then underneath of that, you have thymus gland. As you age, your thymus gland shrinks, becomes smaller, smaller, smaller. That's why your immune system, people who are older, goes down a little bit, okay? Because of the thymus glands. Thymus glands makes T cells, T lymphocytes. Thymus, T lymphocytes. And then, thymus gland is here, right under your windpipe. Thyroid gland is up here, sorry about that. Thymus here, thyroid here. We talked about thyroid gland, and in the back of thyroid glands there are 4 glands. It's called parathyroid gland. On top of kidney, on top of both of your kidney, is called adrenal gland, very important. And then you have pancreas, and then ovaries and testes. They qualify for both endocrine and reproductive system. Okay, so I gave you the definition of exocrine. Exocrine releases the products, the hormone, into a duct, and endocrine releases it into the blood. Endocrine releases its product into the blood. Yes?
So for ovaries and testes on the lab, if it asks for what system, we could put endocrine?
You can write endocrine, you can write down reproductive. Either one is accepted. Okay, here again a chart, one more time, showing you the thyroid, thymus, and pancreas, adrenal glands, ovary, testes, all of it. So let's talk about your pituitary gland. Has 2 portions, the posterior and anterior. The posterior pituitary gland right here, the posterior pituitary gland, it stores 2 hormones that are made in hypothalamus. They store 2 hormones that are made in hypothalamus. They actually do not make any hormones, posterior pituitary gland. Okay, the 2 hormones that are made in posterior pituitary gland, the 2 hormones are oxytocin and ADH, antidiuretic hormone, ADH. They are connected together. Hypothalamus and posterior pituitary gland are connected by a structure called infundibulum. So the hormones from hypothalamus, they release, they come down to posterior, and posterior stores them as needed. During childbirth, oxytocin comes. If you're stranded in the desert, you need to store your water. Then ADH comes. ADH goes to kidney and tells kidney, store the water, we need it. Don't get rid of it. Okay, so that's what the function of ADH pigmentation is. Okay, let's see. Yes, I gave it to you. Here is the effect of oxytocin on milk production. We talked about it last time, I think. And during childbirth, It affects smooth muscles of the uterus, and so during childbirth. Now, the effect of oxytocin in male, your textbook talks about it. It gives some ideas what they are. I forgot now. In male. But anyway, ADH goes to kidney and tells kidney to store water. That's all I have to say about posterior pituitary gland. Anterior pituitary gland, on the other hand, releases a lot of hormones. Okay, one of the hormones that releases is GH, growth hormone, and don't worry about the second name, STH, ACTH, adrenocorticotropic hormone, TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone, FSH, follicle stimulating hormone, LH, luteinizing hormone. They have effect on gonads. Gonads, you all know what that means. I hope it's reproductive organs in plants, animals, anything are referred to as gonads. And then prolactin, it comes and has effect on mammary gland. And this is the PowerPoint. This is everything about anterior pituitary gland you should know to do well in the exam. Okay, so these are all of the hormones that you're responsible that comes from anterior pituitary gland, and these are the effect. Okay, the hormones and the effect. That's it, of the anterior pituitary gland. I'm not going to read it to you. You have it on your PowerPoints. You have it everything. This is pretty much nice summary of the anterior pituitary gland. Okay, the other hormone is thyroid gland. Thyroid glands look like a butterfly, and the effect of thyroid gland, there are two hormones and parathyroids in the back. The two hormones, well, three hormones. Let's say three. The three hormones that you should know from thyroid gland is triiodothyronine. You remember that? It means it has how many iodine? 3. And thyroxine has how many? 4. Okay. So when I was a student, they said it's thyroxine that affects the body, BMR, but now they say it's triiodo. I guess we should go with the present information. So triiodo is the one that affects your BMR. Okay, and the other one, calcitonin, we already talked about it. So there are three hormones. Calcitonin is involving bone remodeling. All of your bones are being dismantled and new bone is being laid, always in your body. How long it takes, Amir? 7 years or so. Okay, and then triiodothyronine, 2 hormones, and the third one, thyroxine. Thyroxine has how many iodine? 4, and triiodothyronine, the other hormone, has 3. Okay, so those are the hormones that I would like you to know for. You take physiology, anatomy, there's more, but those are the main ones. Okay, and then the parathyroid hormone, the only hormone that you should know is parathyroid stimulating hormone, which has effect on what? Calcium. On release of calcium from bone for bone remodeling, release of calcium from bone into the blood. If your calcium level in your blood goes down, then thyroid stimulating hormone is released and it goes to the bone and say bone, release some calcium, we need calcium. Okay, here is the follicle on your slides. You do have things like this. This is the follicle, and these are called follicular cells. They are simple cuboidal epithelial tissue. Your textbook says when they are active, they become columnar. Well, most textbooks that if you go and look at them, they do not classify these. Cells as transitional epithelial tissue. I don't talk about transitional epithelial tissue. You do have a slide of it. They're found in the ureter, bladder, and so on. But here they are not classified. We do not classify them as transition. Some textbooks they might write down they're columnar because when they're active they become like a column. But anyhow, inside of the follicle there is a protein molecule called thyroglobulin. On your lab practical, you remember on the skin, the top layer of skin was keratin, underneath it was collagen. Another molecule, I might ask, right here, what is the name of the molecule here? Thyroglobulin. Thyroglobulin is a protein molecule that, this is, for example, this is a protein molecule that no iodine is attached to it. When this separates, when a little bit, this is a lot of protein molecule. So just that one of this protein molecule leaves the gland and becomes like this, and then there are 3 iodine attached to it, then what is the name of this hormone? Am I making some sense? The name of the hormone is triiodothyronine. Right here, when they are, these protein molecules, they are inside of follicle of thyroid gland, they are not a hormone, they're just protein molecules. But when iodine attaches to them, then they are hormone. Now, of course, they leave. As they leave the follicle, then become iodinized. Okay. T3, T4, I wrote it down. Inactive, cuboidal, active, columnar again. Calcitonin are released by the cells outside of the follicle. You do, maybe you have it on your slides. No storage of thyroid hormone occur in the thyroid gland. As I said, already said that. There is no, when it is here, there is no hormone. It's just a protein molecule called thyroglobulin. Yes?
Just so for your class, you just want us to know that the thyroid gland is just cuboidal?
Right.
No.
When you look at it on the slides, it's a cuboidal.
So no columnar? if it's
No,
active?
don't worry about columnar.
Okay.
Right. Because when you look at the slides, look at it. I'm not lying. And I compare them to the epithelial cells of the intestine. You see how columnar cells are in the intestine, and you see how cuboidal cells are in the thyroid gland. You will see it. If you look at them back and forth on the two, you will see it. Okay, I think I said it. In 1930s, a lot of people in the United States had greater enlargement of their thyroid gland. This is all thyroid gland because people did not have iodine. They did not have iodine in the diet, so United States government said, what shall we do to cure this? We cannot give people iodine, they will not take it. They say, take a hike. But what they've done, something that every culture, every ethnicity will eat it, is salt. Right now you go to the store, you see both type of salt, ionized salt and deionized salt. But during then, 1930s, they said, forget it, we are not going to sell deionized salt anymore. Every salt must be ionized. They added iodine to salt. Every ethnicity eats salt. And also bread. Those two things, they added iodine to it, so the goiter case went down, and right now you don't see any in the United States. Okay, the other gland that you should supposed to know is your pancreas. We already talked about it. Already talked about pancreas, and these are all of the cells. Don't worry about them. That was for anatomy that I was doing a long time ago. Don't worry about these. But you already know in the pancreas, there are two hormones that you should know. It comes from islets of Langerhans, is insulin and glucagon. Insulin, as we talked about it, it facilitates absorption of glucose into the tissues of the body. Your brain cells, your liver cells, your muscle cells, wherever in the body you need glucose, which all of it is all of it, you need glucose. Insulin acts like this. They go and open up the door so glucose can get inside of the cell. That's all it is. If there is not enough insulin, or the insulin cannot open it, some people who are diabetic, we have two types of different diabetes. Don't worry about it, but quickly. We have two different types of diabetes. You probably know somebody with diabetes. We have two different types of diabetes. One type is insulin, there is ample amount of, there is enough insulin in the body, but they do not have the ability to open up the gate for glucose to get in. That's one type of diabetes. Then what happens, the amount of glucose in the blood is high, the person has diabetes. That's one. The other type is when your pancreas, your islets of Langerhans, is not making enough insulin. That's easier to treat. You just give the person insulin shots. If the body is not making enough insulin, that's easy to treat. But if the cells, insulin cannot open up the gate for the cells so the glucose can get in, Houston, you got real problem. But anyway, okay, so pancreas, then you have, in the pancreas, you have islets of Langerhans, as I said, secretes insulin, glucagon. Glucagon, as you know, by the lunchtime, you all had breakfast right now, insulin, there's a lot of insulin in your body, you're opening up the cells, so the glucose gets into the cells, and so on and so forth. By lunchtime, glucagon is released, a lot of it, so they break down those glucose molecules, they store them for you, they break down those glucose molecules as a glycogen. That's another term I'm hoping you would know. Glycogen is when glucose molecules are attached to each other. Long strand of glucose molecules attached to each other. Glycogen is branched or straight, found in animals. In plants it's called starch. Anyhow. And then the other one, what happens, glucagon, do not confuse this. That's what happens during the exam or quiz. Glycogen, I know, I didn't make up these terms. Glycogen is very similar to the term glucagon. Glucagon breaks glycogen. Am I making sense? Glucagon is the hormone that goes to the different cells of the body, liver, muscle, and break down glycogen. So you have enough glucose in your blood so you can be functional. Okay, the other thing about pancreas that you should know is the exocrine assadi. You do have a slide of it. It releases a few things which neutralizes the acid that is coming from stomach. You know, the food that you eat is very acidic, so when it goes to the small intestine, then if you look at the diagrams, this one doesn't show it very well, maybe the next one. No. When you look at the diagrams, it releases products that you go to the small intestine and neutralize the acidity of the chyme that goes from stomach to the small intestine. Here is a beautiful picture. Whoever stained this did a great job. I think this is your textbook. This is islets of Langerhans. And look at this. There is a pattern. Look at the pattern of the cells. There is a nice circle. These are the nucleus of, these are exocrine assadi. And there is no pattern here. When you take histology later on in your life, then you have to identify. Right now, you don't have to. Don't worry about it. Don't ask me. I forgot. When I took histology, I did. Which one is alpha cells and which one is beta cells? Alpha cells release glucagon and beta cells release insulin. So maybe they have to stain it specifically to see it, but I can't remember which one what it is. Okay, here is again same thing. I'm explaining the two different types of diabetes, which I don't expect you to know pretty much. The other gland is on top of kidney, is adrenal gland. These are the three zones, zona glomerulosa. You do have them on your slides. The question I will ask, what layer? Zona glomerulosa, zona fasciculata, zona reticularis. Zona glomerulosa look like glomerulus. Glomerulus look like that. Okay, and zona fasciculata, the cells running like a column. And then zona reticularis, the cells run perpendicular to the fasciculata. Okay, and these are the hormones they usually, I list them for you. Aldosterone involved in our sexuality, and a lot of other things involved. Glucocorticoid is involved in glucose synthesis. Your body, as you know, like pyruvate, can become glucose. Glycerol can become glucose. You know that. Some of the amino acids can become glucose. Well, this is the hormone that is involved in that process. And then gonadotropic hormone, these are the hormones that is involved with your gonads. Just the names apply, except aldosterone. You know, if you look at the name, it's easy. Except aldosterone. Aldosterone is the only one that is very important hormone in our body. Your textbook, I don't know, said the same thing or not, but anyhow, they're here. In the middle of it is adrenal medulla, right here. This is all cortex of adrenal gland, which has 3 layers. This one does not have any layers. The cells you can see on your microscope is adrenal medulla, which releases 2 hormones, adrenaline and noradrenaline. Adrenaline is a fight or flight. Is that right? Fight or flight, run away. And noradrenaline is the hormone that counter-affect adrenaline, slows down, relaxes you. If it doesn't, then person will die. Hormone release. Again, this is ACTH, comes from pituitary gland. ACTH has an effect on adrenal gland. Without ACTH, adrenal gland does not release its hormone. So anterior pituitary gland controls adrenal gland to be. And then negative feedback. I didn't talk about negative feedback for this exam. Don't worry about it. It's important, you know. I'm done. I don't think there is anything else here that you should know. Pretty much is a summary of